Up next on Walking by Faith.
Our children are born with a purpose. They are not our purpose. I'll say it again. Children come, they're born with a purpose. They're not our purpose. And so they come, and you love them, and you show them the way, and you model great stuff, and then you say, adios.
So I want to welcome you to Walking by Faith. Thank you for being with us today. We are in a series on guardrails, how to protect our lives. And we're going to be talking about how to protect your marriage today. And actually, I have one of my best friends, Johnny Vereeken. We have been friends for well over 30 years. And Johnny and his wife, Carla, actually live in Mexico, minister all through Latin and South America. And Johnny came to me a while back and said, how about we preach a series together? And so I'm doing 2 parts, he's doing 2 parts of this. And he says, how about a series that I helped put together, that is, he helped put together with Andy Stanley, called Guardrails. And I said, let's do it. And so that's how we got in this series. And I know that the message he's going to share with you today is going to bless you in your relationships. And if you're married, it's going to help you in your marriage. Would you please open your heart right now as Johnny begins this message?
We started last week with guardrails, and I'm going to take a few minutes and kind of set up what we're talking about. And our desire is to motivate you and to be part of a group of people that create guardrails in our life. And to do that, let's talk about what a guardrail is. A guardrail is a system designed to keep vehicles from straying, and that's an important word there, from straying into dangerous or off limit area. So we think of a guardrail. We got a guardrail here. I got my trusty guardrail. They rolled it out here. And we don't really pay attention to guardrails very much, but until we need them. And then we're thankful they're there. It's like, whoa, if that wouldn't have been there, and you just think of what's on the other side. Because the interesting thing of a guardrail is they actually place guardrails in an area you could drive on. If they get that thing out of the road, you could actually drive on that piece of real estate. But the plan with a guardrail is to put it in a safe zone. That's a key word. Put a guardrail in a safe zone, because what's on the other side of the guardrail is so dangerous. The theory of a guardrail is that you'll do less damage to your body and to your vehicle if you hit a guardrail than if you hit what is actually on the other side. So that's the theory of a guardrail, and I think we get that. I just wanted to remind us what a guardrail is, and to remind you and me that the danger is on the other side. I'd like to invite my wonderful, beautiful wife, Carla, to come up here. Give her an applause, would you, Carlita? We're gonna share some of our guardrails. Now, I want to be very open and specific about that. These things that we're gonna share are our guardrails. When I share guardrails, there's not going to be a chapter in a verse of the Bible there. There's a Bible principle, but we've taken that and we've backed it up and said, okay, to live that, we're going to create a guardrail, and so they're ours. And they may seem a little extreme to you. And these are guardrails for our marriage. What I want to do right now is go through these real quick, because there's no way we're going to get done. But if you've got your smartphone or you've got something to take a picture, I'm going to run through them all real quick so you'll get all of our guardrails, and then we'll go back and talk about as many as we can. So the first guardrail we have, and I'll put it up here and we'll come back and talk about it, is we will not develop friendships with the opposite sex. That's a guardrail. But we'll come back and talk about that in a minute. Second one, why don't you read that one?
We will not have a children-focused family. We will have a marriage-focused family.
Yes, sirree. Number 3, we will spend scheduled time together. That's us.
Alone.
No kids. Get them out of here.
Number 4 is we will schedule non-negotiable family time together.
Fun time. Number 5, we will give first before anything else. And that's a huge guardrail for us, and I don't know if we'll have time to talk about that, but that keeps us inside the safe zone with our finances.
Number 6, we pause for a pointed conversation when life is no longer fun.
This one's a huge one for us, and this has been a guardrail of ours for a long time. Like I said, I'll just comment on it a second, but we believe life ought to be fun. Now, I understand there's times, there's moments when it's difficult, but overall, I believe we should be a model to this generation of life is awesome and marriage is awesome. If it's always like, oh my, sometimes I get so fed up with church. I pastor several churches and plant churches and this and that. But, and I love the worship people, any worship people here, but it seems like all the time we're worshiping, it's like, oh, it's so bad, and oh, God's gonna be with you and stuff. And I understand that. That's awesome. But it's like, I think, well, let's give the other side equal time. It's like life is awesome. It's fantastic. Out of this world. I'm just about to orbit. I'm so excited. So you don't even know how to react with that. Because you think that I'm just playing. We live that way.
We like to have fun.
We would like to have fun because that's the way life should be. That's the way it should be. But anyway, so when it's not fun, we sit down. It's like, all right, where'd we get off? And I'm usually saying, all right, Carla, where'd you get off? You know, yeah. I'm just teasing. Just teasing.
They all know that.
and then number 7.
We will not go to bed at different times. We go to bed together.
You might look at that and say, that's a weird guardrail. But you wouldn't believe how many marriages go off-roading because they just start to live separate lives. And one says, well, I'm a morning person. Well, I'm a night person. So we just do it. No, we made a guardrail. We don't care if you're morning, night, whatever, noon. It's just, we're going to go to bed together. That's just the way it's going to be. Anyways, let's go back to the first one. So number 1, we will not develop close friendships with the opposite sex. And that, for us, let me kind of flesh that out. For us, this is what that means. We will not be in isolated places with somebody of the opposite sex. And that includes the internet. You might not, the internet is a place. And so we've just decided, and we've created a guardrail that when I got married to Carla, we declared exclusiveness. It's like, this relationship's exclusive. I'm done. We don't have to look no more. Se acabó. That's it. She's the one for me, and I will pursue her, and I don't need friendship with the opposite sex outside of that. Now, we've got to have great people we love and families, and it's but we don't pursue that, and we are very guarded with that guardrail and saying, we will be exclusive in our relationship. And we just do.
Yeah. And this guardrail doesn't come from a place of jealousy because I'm jealous of who John might be talking to or who he might be chatting with or anything like that. This is not based on jealousy. This is based on trust. And trust is the foundation of marriage. And we're always looking to build more trust. You know, like we always say, we're looking to build more love in our marriage. We need to look to build trust in our marriage. And that's what this is based on. So we live as open books with each other. Our phone accounts, our internet account, even though you really don't know how to use Facebook accounts or any of that. But all of our things, everything is open to each other because we want to build trust amongst each other. And this helps me not only be able to trust John, but to also be a person that he can trust in. Trustworthiness. I want to be a person that's worthy of his trust. So I'm going to live open and honest and not in jealousy, but in trust.
Right. And so you might ask the question, well, is developing a friendship with somebody of the opposite sex, is that a sin? Of course not. Of course not. And as single people, that's the way you get to know somebody. But when you decide that's the person for me, it just turned exclusive. It is now exclusive. And so we just set the guardrail. We don't develop a friendship with somebody from the opposite sex, and that includes being alone. Now, I travel a lot. Just got back 2 weeks ago. I was in Paraguay, I was in Chile, I was in Guatemala, and that's kind of something I do. And so I do the best I can beforehand to give instruction, or my assistant helps, and that people that come pick me up should be men or a couple or whatever. And there's been many times I'll fly into a Latin city and something happened. A couple was coming and the man has a business and emergency and a lady or a young lady shows up. I go through customs, go through security. I walk out and I see somebody with a sign, Juan Vereeken, or somebody that knows me, and it's a lady. And there's nothing, is it wrong? No, but we've created a guardrail. We've informed our conscience to the place to where when bells and whistles go off when I see, oh my God, I'm going to have to get into a car alone with a person of the opposite sex. And you may be sitting here thinking, you are extreme, you're crazy. Well, we just live. So what I do is, and I've done it several times, it's like, look, this is what we're going to do. I'm gonna get a taxi and I'm gonna follow you, and don't worry, I'll take care of my taxi and we'll take care of that. And I'll follow you to where we're going, because many times they're taking me to my hotel. And it just is, for me, it just doesn't work. So I'll take my own taxi and I'll follow you, and everything's great, and I feel so much more at peace, because sometimes things happen and they're out of your control. But if you've got guardrails, then you're not walking in the limit. You say, well, why so extreme? Because the cliff would be that somehow, some way, you just kind of, there's no guardrails, and all of a sudden you're developing some type of romantic relationship or emotional relationship with somebody that's not your spouse. And it happens every day. And I declared exclusiveness to one person. And that's it. And she has to me. So that's the way we do it. That's the way we roll. Number 2.
Guardrail 2, we will not have a children-focused family. We will have a marriage-focused family.
Yes, sir. If you've ever seen a family that was focused around the children, it is, at the minimal, it's chaos. At the far end, it's total disaster. And there's hundreds and thousands of people that are divorced today because, well, the kids showed up. You know, it's like they walk down the aisle, but they're not a family yet. You're not a family until you have kids. That is not true. But they think that way. Then the kids come, and it's like, oh, now we're a family. And the focus is all on the children. That is wrong, wrong, wrong. Even though society today will push us towards that, that is wrong. So we set up a guardrail, and our guardrail was we will have a marriage-centered marriage, not a children-centered marriage. It's just the way it is. And are the children a welcome addition? Of course. We love our children. They come in. The children... Our children are born with a purpose. They are not our purpose. I'll say it again. Children come, they're born with a purpose. They're not our purpose. And so they come, and you love them, and you show them the way, and you model great stuff, and then you say, adios. Adios. And you love them when they come, and you love them when they go. So because that's going to happen one day, don't have a children or a child-centered marriage. Have a great marriage. Have a wonderful family. The kids are part of the family, but they're going to leave one day, and you're going to be together again alone. We're not alone. We have a special situation. Matter of fact, the special situation in our marriage is something that really challenged that guardrail when we first started having our children. And, I'll let Carla tell you about Timmy. Tell about Timmy.
John and I have 4 kids, and some of you may know our story, but I see a lot of new faces here. You may not know a lot about us. We have 4 kids, ranging in age from 24 up to 30. She just turned 30 last week, and it's killing me, saying I have a 30-year-old child.
You old.
I'm old. But we have those 4 kids. And our third child, Timmy, he's 27 now. And 27 years ago, this month, actually it was.
A few days. In a few days.
In a few days, it'll be 27 years, that I found Timmy in his crib one morning unconscious, and he was having seizures. So we rushed him to the hospital. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. He was in intensive care. They got him stabilized, but he was in intensive care for a week, and they came to us and said, you probably need to take him to the States because we don't know what's wrong with your son. So we flew up to Chicago with our whole family and doctors and oxygen tanks and IVs and got him up to a hospital in Chicago where he was in intensive care isolation for another week. And they finally figured out what was wrong with Timmy, and he had suffered viral encephalitis, which meant that he had suffered severe brain damage. So for 10 days we were in the hospital there in Chicago, and on the last day when they were going to give us our son and tell us to take him back home, the doctors and the psychologists all came in the room and sat down to talk with us. And they said, your life has changed now. You have a son who's severely impaired. Your son is blind. He'll never see. Your son will never talk. Your son will never walk. Your son will never recognize you as parents or as family. He will basically have a mentality of a 6-month-old for the rest of his life. So you're going to need a lot of help because it's all going to be about this little boy now. But don't worry, we're going to be in your lives, and we're going to provide all kinds of care for him, and we're going to get him set up in schools, and we're going to get everything planned out for you because you know everything has to revolve around this child now. Your kids are going to suffer psychologically, but don't worry, we're going to come in with lots of help. And your marriage is going to suffer because what's the percentage?
Yeah, they told us there's a 93% divorce rate in families that had a severely, multiply mentally impaired child.
Yeah, so your marriage is going to suffer, your family is going to suffer, but don't worry, we're going to be with you through the whole process, but your life will never be the same again. They hand us our child, send us on our way. We come up here to Michigan, and somebody loaned us an apartment where we could spend some time, and Timmy could be in recuperation and more doctor visits and figure out what the rest of his life is going to look like. And I can remember the social worker coming over to the apartment one day and sitting down and talking with me and saying, Carla, you know, you can never go back to Mexico now. And your son is going to require full-time care. And you're going to need doctors, and you're going to need therapists, and you're going to need specialists for this, and you're going to need help with your family. And don't worry, we've got the psychologists ready to work with everybody. And don't worry, we're going to be in your life the whole way. But you're not going to be able to go back to Mexico. This child is going to need 100% attention of your family. Well, you see, there was a problem there with that, because John and I already had our guardrail set up saying this marriage is not going to revolve around our children. Not one handicapped child, not 2 other fully capacitated children, and another
3.
one that was going to come on later.
Oh, I thought maybe you forgot.
Time.
We have 4.
Yeah, no. But the other one didn't come till later. We had set up this guardrail that said our life is not going to revolve around these children, and we're not going to base everything. We're basing our marriage and our lives around God's plan for this family. And God's plan for this family and a call on our life was to go to Latin America and serve him in Latin America. So when we butted up against that guardrail, we knew what the decision was that had to be made. We're not staying here. We're not going to have Timmy involved in the schools and involved with the psychiatrists and involved with the social workers and involved with all the doctors like that. Timmy is going to be a part of our family, and this family is going back to Latin America, and this family is going to fulfill the call of God on our lives. So 27 years ago, we packed up our suitcases and our little handicapped boy and our other 2 girls, and we moved back to Mexico. And we've been there ever since. You ask me now, Carla, do you think you made the right decision? Did you and John do the right thing? I'll tell you 100 times over, we made the right decision. We did the right thing. And every Sunday that I sit in our church, and I look around in the 3 services we have, and I look at the people sitting behind me, and I see entire families whose lives are changed. Because 27 years ago, we made a decision to go back to Latin America and to talk about Jesus to these families. And now their lives are changed. And I see millions of people that we've been able to train in leadership. And I see that we've been able to impact in every country of Latin America. Was that the right decision, taking Timmy and our whole family and moving back to Mexico? You bet, and I do it 1,000,000 times over. Now, has it been the easiest decision? No, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not been the easiest. We still have a severely handicapped little boy that requires diaper changes 4 times a day, that we have to pick up and carry to the bathroom and give him a shower every morning, that we have to put in his wheelchair and bring him into the kitchen and feed him by hand 3 times a day. And it's still a little boy that has seizures, a little boy that's required surgeries, a little boy that's required a lot of our attention, but he is not the center of our universe. He is a part of our family unit, and together as a family, we're fulfilling the call of God in our life.
Number 3, we will spend scheduled time together alone. That means us. We're talking about like romance. Scheduled time. If I don't put it on my calendar, it's not going to happen. So we just schedule everything. We've lived for a long time. Our life is a little different now because we're kind of empty nesters. Everybody's gone except for Timmy. And then somebody that helps us with Timmy, so they're kind of in our house, and so they're there, so we're half empty nesters. But we have always dated. We dated since the time we got married, before we got married, and then since we got married. Our Monday date was always our date to sit down, look at the calendar, what's your week look like, whatever, this and that, and talk about the kids. And then our weekend dates were our romantic dates and our fall in love dates. And because we're never home alone, there's always somebody in our house. Since Timmy had got sick, we always got away. About every 3 months, we would get away to someplace, even if it's in the same city. And years and years ago, we didn't have any money, and I was super tight. And I remember because we had to, and it was on the calendar. It was like, all right, we're going away. And whoever invented the plan that you can only have one honeymoon a lifetime is crazy, out of their mind. So we'd have a honeymoon about every 3 months, and sometimes we'd go to a hotel 2 miles from our house. And I remember, we'd be on the 5th, 6th, 10th floor. If they put us high enough, I could see my house. And I would look out the window and I would think, what am I doing here? I'm paying somebody to sleep in a bed I don't even like, pillows I don't even like, and my bed is over there. But it was worth it. We'd scrimp and save and we'd go out, but it was our time, and it built into our relationship what we needed, and it was money well spent. The last thing was just because I've talked a little bit derogatory about the kids. I love our kids and this and that, so we'll put a good one up there for the kids. But we did
the good one.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll schedule non-negotiable time for our family together also. We've done that since our kids were little, and now they're big. But enjoy the time. Be present at the right time. Be present. We've always had family day every Wednesday since our kids were just babies. Every Wednesday, it's family day. That's it, non-negotiable. We go off and we go to parks and play hide and seek and this and that. And I'm talking about when they're little, and as they grow, we just do other stuff. But we do our family vacations, our dates. I dated my girls since they were 3 up until they got married. And then that's why I could stand there and say, I do, and I do. Done. Why? Because I was glad. It's like I had my time. But so many people, they don't have a guardrail, and so they're right on the cliff, and the time leaving, and all of a sudden, Dad, we want to get married. It's like, no! come back to me. And there's all this stress and pressure. The parents are against it because most of the time it's because you didn't do the right thing when you should have. Anyways, these are 4 of our guardrails. I gave them all to you. Our desire isn't to impose our guardrails on you, by no means. They're our guardrails. But our desire is to help everybody understand we need guardrails. We need guardrails. We need to be in the safe zone and to set up a guardrail and say, when my conduct bumps up against that, my conscience will tell me. So that we're not off-roading with our lives and our marriage, and a couple weeks from now I'll be here and talk about our morality. Guardrails. So I want you to go thinking about this. Okay, what are guardrails I need to put? If you're with your spouse today, go home and talk about it. Hey, what are some of the guardrails we have? Do we have guardrails?
Well, I am so glad that you've opened your heart today and you've been listening. But if you sense in your heart God pulling on you, you realize, look, I'm not where I need to be with God. I'm away from the Lord. I need forgiveness. And you say, I want to come to God today. And I want to receive all the forgiveness God has for me. And I want that relationship with Him. I want to invite you right now to bow your head, to pray this prayer from your heart. Just say, oh God, I believe Jesus died on the cross. I believe His blood paid for my sins. I believe He rose again. And right now, I give Jesus all of my heart and all of my life. I'm going to live for Him every day. And I thank you, you've heard my prayer, that I'm forgiven, that my past is gone, that I'm your child on my way to heaven. In Jesus' name, amen. You know, that simple prayer prayed from your heart, God heard that prayer and you're right with God. And I want to help you keep growing spiritually. Now, I wrote a book and I want to give you this book free of charge. You can download it. All the information's right there on your screen. And this book is going to help you keep growing spiritually. It is full of bullet points to help you in your spiritual walk as you grow in Christ. And I just want to thank you for being with us. And if this program is blessing you, if it's helping you, would you please do 2 things? Would you pray for us? And would you send a financial gift to help us as we're paying for airtime to take the gospel around the world? I want to thank you, and God bless you.
In Matthew 18:19, Jesus said, "If any 2 of you agree concerning a matter on earth, it shall be done for you." We believe that God acts powerfully when we come to Him in prayer. Please call now to let us know of your prayer requests so we can begin praying for you.
Thank you for watching Walking by Faith. Walking by Faith is made possible in part by the generous gifts of our viewers. If you would like to contribute to reaching the world with the gospel of Jesus Christ through this program, please contact us at Walking by Faith, 5120 Ivan Rest Avenue Southwest, Granville, Michigan, 49418.